So welcome to a new Game Stuff episode, and these things arrived, and guess what? I had a baby, so I didn't have a chance to get to any of this, to look at any of this, for about a month. But now I get to do a deep dive on all of the stuff that has arrived, and I want to say to begin with, the beginning stuff I'm showing you, the first half of the episode, is all video game related stuff. The second half is a lot of different other things like Dungeons and Dragons, and this right here. There's an anime story to do with this box that I can't wait to talk about, and it's been 31 years coming. So, all right, we're gonna get into this. We're gonna start off with a couple of vinyl records that arrived from Data Discs. The first one is Alien Soldier. Does anybody remember this? By Treasure. I think it was like 1995 that it came out. Yes, music from Treasure's 1995 Mega Drive game. This is an excellent game. If you haven't tried it, please give it a shot. And this is the music from the game. Let's have a look here. Let's pull everything out. All right, here's always the one sheet. This is, oh boy. We have some great artwork there of the main character. Great stuff. You know what? I really miss Treasure, the old Treasure. And the games that they came up with were so fascinating and interesting, and oh my god, I could go on about them all day. So these are just normal vinyls. There's no crazy artwork on them or anything. They're both, yeah, just kind of gray there. But let's have a look at the front there and the back. So it's gonna be a little bit of fun hearing the music from Alien Soldier again after so many years. And I remember being in arcades back in the day and seeing this game, Alien Storm. And this is music from the Mega Drive version of the game. And this is going to be fascinating to hear after, again, so many years. This is a Sega game. And Sega did so many side action games like this. And it was like, it was very interesting where, look at these characters. They're so weird. They were so strange in the 80s. Let's see if there's any artwork where we can kind of show a little bit of it. Oh, this is a better picture of them. Your main characters were running around fighting aliens from other worlds, but you also, I swear to God, you might as well be an alien with what this guy's wearing. He's wearing this huge backpack, shooting electricity. It was a very, very strange game, but I liked it. I think back then we always liked the beat 'em up style of games, no matter what they were. We just took anything. We're like, yeah, sure, we'll take it. Here's the record itself. Beautiful stuff, really nice. It'll be fun to pop these in, have a coffee, and here's some Alien Storm music after so many years. It's funny, I got kind of nostalgic when I saw this. I was like, Alien Storm, I forgot all about that. Now this is a really wild one from Mondo, and this is Metal Gear, the MSX version, the original Metal Gear game, and this is the music from it. And to be honest with you, I played it on I believe, on the 360, on the Xbox 360 back in the day. That's where you could get it. I think it was part of a bundle of Metal Gear games, and yeah, for the 360, and they had this translated. And you know what? One day, I really need to go back and play the MSX version of it because it's a lot different than the NES version. That is for sure. So this will be really fun to listen to. I can't wait to check that out as well. Now, couple of things to get into here. I have often said in the last bunch of years of the show, I think I have every retro game I've ever wanted. And I think that's pretty much true. But you know how it is, late one night on eBay, months and months ago, this arrived a while ago, I broke finally, and I've been thinking about this game, getting this game for the last 12 plus years. And I just keep putting it off, going, no. And you won't believe it, what it is. It is Street Fighter 2 on the Super Nintendo here. And it's a really good copy of it. And that's the thing, I was like, if I'm gonna get it, I want it to be a nice copy. I don't want it to be all cut up and gross and stuff like that. What is the story with this? Why don't I have this? How could I not have it? The thing is, I did have it back in the day, back when I lived in North Delta and the game first came out. I mowed the lawns all summer long to be able to pay for this game which is about $100 or whatever it was back then. And I was the hero of the neighborhood. Everybody was coming over. We had these massive Street Fighter battles, and I loved it. I was a Street Fighter fanatic in the arcades, so to get it at home on the Super Nintendo was like, oh my god, incredible stuff. And I loved this version of the game. I played the hell out of it. I honestly, 1,000+ hours on the Super Nintendo version of the game. Why don't I have the game anymore? Because years later, I got a 3DO, and I got Super Street Fighter Turbo. And I was like, this is the best version of Street Fighter. This was how I was thinking back then. I think I was 19 back then for that. And so I was like, you know what? This is great. This is, the 3DO version. It's the only version I want. And I told you back in the day, I sold a whole bunch of my old video games to a place called Master Player to get a Sega CDX. And I was like, yeah, I want the next generation console. These games, I traded a whole bunch in. Oh my god, like Space Megaforce, and oh my god, I think about all the things that I did back then, so dumb. And I traded in Street Fighter 2 because I thought, it doesn't matter because I have the 3DO version. And that's the best version with all the characters and blah, blah, blah. And it's like years later, I was like, I wasn't thinking like I do now. I didn't realize that it'd be years later and I'd look back on that copy of Street Fighter 2 and be so nostalgic about it and want it. Like, the artwork is so nostalgic for me. I used to have it on my walls at home. I used to open EGMs and cut out any picture of Street Fighter and put it on the wall. I always used to put it on the wall. So really happy to have a copy of Street Fighter 2 on the Super Nintendo. The game means so much to me, like so much to me. Crazy. Okay, the next bunch of items I talked about, and I was like, you know, I'm gonna have a little party, a little get together, and just before like everything happened with COVID and all that, and I'm gonna get everybody together, and we're going to sit down and play something on a mini console. And I'm going to talk about that in a second, but I want to show you what I got from Amazon. I finally got, this is for the TurboGrafx Mini. I got the TurboTap adapter right there, the PC Engine adapter. So you can hook this into your TurboGrafx or PC Engine or Core Graphics and get multiple controllers to plug in there so you can play multiplayer games with your friends, which nowadays is so easy to do, right? You'll just turn on a controller wirelessly and you're in. Where this is all plug and play from back in the day, but made for the mini console now. So I did something crazy, and I thought, man, I'm getting crazy, and I'm like, I don't care. I got 3 PC Engine controllers right here, and then I have my other TurboGrafx controller in the other room. Why would I do something so crazy? Because I had a dream. I had a dream that I wanted to do it for years, is get all my friends over and play Dungeon Explorer. I said that when I got the TurboGrafx Mini that I want to do this. That I want to get all my friends over one afternoon, drink some tea, and because I'm pretty sorry, and play this with all my friends. Like I was going to get my friend Satan and Rob and my wife to play it all together. And this year has gone crazy. And as I said, even in my update video, Rob injured himself, and I don't know when I'll be seeing him again to do recreational things like that, but we'll try our best in the future to do so. Heck, I'd love to film that because it's a moment that's been so long in the planning stages, and it's also great that I can play other multiplayer games on the TurboGrafx Mini. So yeah, the TurboGrafx Mini's come out, and let me say, I've really been enjoying it. I've played it a lot more than I thought I would. I've gone through so many games. It's been really a great buy on my part. And the next game to talk about is an XSEED game, and that is Story of Seasons, Friends of Mineral Town, right here. And when this arrived, I'm like, is this like an Animal Crossing style of game? And I guess in a lot of ways aesthetically it has that kind of look, but it's a farming simulator. It seems that it started as a Game Boy game back in the day, and I have never played this game at all. I have no history with it at all, but it looks really, really fascinating. And you know what? Kim is kind of wearing down on the Animal Crossing now. It's seeming, she's done everything she wanted to do, and she feels like she's doing the same thing every day in the game. And this might be a nice little switch over game for her. So it looks fascinating. It looks addicting. It looks ridiculous. So I don't know. I'll throw it her way and we'll see what happens for sure. Now for the next game, I want you to hold back your pitchforks, please. Please, and your torches. Hold them all back because I got something to admit here. And I know it more than anybody else. More than anybody else. This certain game right here, I haven't played it. I'm planning on playing it. It's here. It is Yakuza 0. Yes, I know all of my friends have played this game. They love it. I know I will love it. It's just been one of those things where I was covering so many games on the channel for so long that I could never slip this in. But you know what? I'm going to make the effort now because this game looks incredible. And it's hilarious from everything that I've seen. Like, it's a ridiculous style of game. The Yakuza series is so good and it's so amazing. And this is the one game that I was like, I can't believe I haven't played. I know. There's somebody's out there going, oh my God, I can't believe you haven't done that game. You'll like it. And I know that, and that's why I picked it up. And it just looks so awesome. 1988 Japan. I can't wait to jump in to the action and the zaniness of this game. Now, the next game isn't just a game, it's a bundle of 2 games. It's a 10th anniversary bundle, and I'm not gonna say it, but I'm gonna say it. I can't believe it's been 10 years for these games because I remember doing the All Gen Gamers podcast and these games were coming out. I mean, it's so ridiculous. We're all talking about them. And I played them both. I finished them both. I love them both. And that is Bayonetta and Vanquish. And I'm going to be talking about Vanquish in a video sometime later this year. I'm going to get into it a little bit more because I got a lot to say about it and all that. But this is one of those game bundles that I was like, I got to get this. This is so great to have it on the PS4 and to have Bayonetta there as well. So this is a great pickup. And I think I'm just going to say one that maybe become a little bit rare, but you never know. Okay, we're basically done the first half of the video game stuff. And this is where I'm going to get into a few other things anime related. And I'm really excited to talk about this box right here. There is magic in this box for me. Therapeutic magic. Stuff is in this box that had an emotional effect on me that was unexpected and powerful. Powerful. Really was so. So back in the day, I have to give a little build up to this. Back in the day, when I was into anime, into the early days of anime, like I started in 85, really kind of getting into it with Robotech. But by 88, 89, I was delving as deep as I could in to find out as much as I could. And there was no internet back there then. It was a very, very different time. And so what I would do, because this is going to sound crazy to you now, for everybody who's grown up in this time with the internet and Amazon and the way things are in the world now. Back in the day in 88, there was one Japanese bookstore that carried anime books and magazines. One. It's called Sophia's Bookstore, downtown. And I would go in. My dad was so awesome. He'd drive me all the way downtown. I remember always parking beside this bookstore, and I would go in, and it was expensive. Stuff back then still was really expensive for anime stuff. But I would go in for anime magazines called Newtype magazines. And they were everything to me. I would get these magazines, and I couldn't read Japanese, but I'd bring them home, and they were magazines that were talking about the industry and all the latest anime coming out in Japan. And this is really my era of anime, like the 1980s, 6, and up kind of era, really my stuff, especially early 80s too. But the 88, 89 stuff was really what cemented me as a hardcore fanatic for life. And I used to open these magazines up, and I used to study the artwork. And what was great is they had original artwork that was done just for the magazines. So back in the day, you get Newtype magazine just to find out about the latest anime. You couldn't just, look it up online or see a trailer somewhere. This is how you did it. So these magazines were very, very important for everybody in Japan and for us outside of Japan that had an interest in anime as well. So I used to study these magazines like I swear to God, I would get a magnifying glass and any little picture in there, I would study what is that in the corner there. Went through them incredibly so. But I did something kind of crazy with the magazines back in the day. Something that I look at now and I'm like, why did you do that? But it's what I did because there was no other way to do what I did. I would, after a couple of years or a year or so of looking at the magazine and absorbing it, I would take out my favorite artwork in the magazine and I would post it all over my room. And I had hundreds of these pages all over my room as inspiration. It was so powerful and I loved the artwork and I loved everything it represented. But I hacked up all my magazines by doing that. And so still to this day I have half magazines and half not. And I have such a nostalgia for these magazines. So, without further ado, I finally went onto eBay a while ago and I was looking up Newtypes and I found Newtype magazines for $10 each. And I'm like, oh my God. But the shipping was ridiculous for each one. I was like, oh, no. So I got in touch with the seller and I said, listen, if I buy a whole bunch of these magazines, can you just do one shipping fee for them all? The person said, absolutely, for sure, that'd be great. So that's what we did. And then this got sent over and I opened this up and magic hit me. I went back to being a younger guy in 88 and 89, reliving these magazines, because these magazines, I didn't just kind of go through them. I memorized them, every picture, everything. So we're gonna bring out a couple here. Oh my God, right here. I've got a bunch of them. I think I got about 10 in here. And that's Gundam 0080, what I always talk about on the show. There's artwork by Kenichi Sonata for Gal Force. Right there. See, I know all of this stuff. Yeah, more Gundam 0080. Oh my, this is my era. And look at some of the artwork. I think this is original artwork for the magazine. Always in the front, it usually was. And all that kinds of stuff. And beautiful stuff. And, thick, beautiful pages. Talking about Japanese movies. Beautiful, glossy pages. Looking at all this stuff. And my imagination used to soar by looking at all of this stuff, and then look at that, going into the 5-star stories and talking to the cast members, every single thing. So what was crazy for me when I opened up these books, I had forgotten that I had them memorized, and every single thing, even some of the weird toys back then, all the poster inserts are still there, which is so awesome. And there was also something really cool in the back of every Newtype back then, and something that maybe made me get into import gaming and Japanese gaming even more than I already was this section right here. It would always show you the latest, greatest games from Japan that we had no idea what they were back then. We had no idea. So I used to stare at these things and go, what are these? And my imagination soared. It really did. And there was something else really great back then. I think, oh, there you go. For Project Zero-Rime, or another anime, what they would do is they would have all the character designs and stuff like that for the latest animes right in the back of the magazine. And so these arrived, and most of these pages were all on my walls back in the day. When I saw this one with Roger Rabbit on it, I realized how long ago it was. I was like, and for me to find these magazines in this pristine condition, because I've looked over the years and had mixed, searches. Sometimes I found a couple of them, and sometimes I have not. It's been absolute crap. But here's one of my favorite designs by the artist of Macross, Mikimoto. I love this. Him showing all of his characters there, and I know them all. I know every character. And then Chrissy from Gundam 0080. You got Eve from Megazone, the girls from Gumbuster, this girl here, I forget her name, but she's from Orgus. Lin Minmay, Misa Hayes right here. I mean, the list goes on. Marinette Generation right here. Great stuff. And what a nostalgic ride for me having these magazines again from my childhood. And they're all from my childhood. Look at the artwork though back then. Look at I'm not knocking modern anime, but look at the artwork back then. Look at the color shading. Just have a look at that. Like, modern anime is really good. I'm not saying anything, but some of the artwork in some of these magazines and some of the anime back then, some of the color shading is a work of absolute, look at this. Pat labor stuff going on here. Look at that artwork. Look at that artwork. Brilliant stuff. So, very happy to have these magazines, and what a love letter to myself of the past. And I've had a lot of stress lately in my life, and when these arrived, it gave me like a little moment of like an out-of-body experience that really made me feel really good. Really good. So, and next up, Wizards of the Coast sent this over. It is Mythic Odysseys of Theros right here. And this is a fascinating book, and it allows players to use god weapons within the game. And there's a whole bunch of other things. I will just read it, and I'll flip through some artwork of the book so you can see. Set in the Magic the Gathering world of Theros, players can wield a god's weapon and play using new race options as they embark on a challenge fit for the gods. Select a supernatural gift, aligning your character with one of the Theros 15 gods, and carve a tale of odysseys and ordeals on your personal path to destiny. Yeah, the one thing that I thought was fascinating about this book when I got it, it reminded me of deities and demigods. So I had to pull that off the shelf to show it, because it just gave me that kind of feeling of, bringing back the gods and some of that stuff into Dungeons and Dragons. And I know this is from Magic the Gathering, but I really do appreciate them bringing that back into the game a little bit more. So I'm going to definitely read into this a bit more. Now I want to thank Megavisions Magazine for sending this my way once again, the All Sega magazine dedicated to everything Sega and all the love of Sega. And I opened the magazine and I'm already happy. Cyber Troopers Virtual On. That was such a big deal for me back in the day. I have my copy on the shelf here, so I like that. But they do a beautiful magazine here, and there's so much love for Sega, and you gotta appreciate that a heck of a lot. All this on Golden Axe happening. Very thrilled. So I want to applaud the effort from these guys. I think they do a wonderful job. Yeah, they cover some things that are not just like Sega as well in here. Here's one thing that I definitely want to show. Some great artwork here. This is Ninja Turtles. And I love it. There's so much passion in that artwork there. There's so much going on in this page. It's all like a dedication to the Turtles games going on there. And that's really great artwork. So I definitely want to thank the team at Megavisions for sending this my way. They always do a really beautiful magazine full of so much beautiful artwork and such great layout. So thank you once again. Now my next item is a fairly basic one. It's the final item of the day. It is the soundtrack to Conan the Barbarian on vinyl. And now this should be a very straightforward thing, right? It's just a soundtrack where I can honestly say this is the soundtrack of my life. It is, and I've been listening to it ever since I first saw the movie, and I've always loved it. I got it on CD, I've listened to it over the years. And then, when I got married to Kim, we had this music playing when we walked in to, where we were having the ceremony. We had this music playing, and it was so amazing and perfect. It was very elegant. It's going to sound crazy to say. It's the orgy music, which is a beautiful, nice sound. I know it sounds like it's going to be something bad, but no, it's this beautiful entry for us to walk in, and really memorable. I'd let you see that scene in the wedding, but there's copyright with that music, so I can't do that. Another thing I want to say about this that is amazing is that I just had a daughter, and when we first brought her back from the hospital to come to her home for the very first time, and that first day we had her sleeping in her bassinet, and I was like, you know, like, I gotta do something. I said I want to hear the Conan soundtrack, and the baby's dead, you know, dead out sleeping. And I turned on Conan, and I let Conan play, and then I looked over at my daughter, and I was like, oh my god, this is the first music that she's ever heard in her life is the Conan soundtrack. And I thought it was so wild. Like, when she gets older, I said, you know, the first music you ever heard was Conan. And she's gonna go, whatever, Dad, you crazy. But it was, and I played both, you know, the soundtrack, both sides, and she just slept like a baby, because she's a baby. And I kind of got a little tear, man. I was like, oh, this is a beautiful little moment. This is a beautiful little moment. She gets to hear orchestra music, this beautiful score. And Conan has an amazing soundtrack. I mean, it's probably got the best Dungeons and Dragons style soundtrack of all time. I don't know how you can ever outdo this music because it's so good. But guys, I really enjoyed coming in and talking about all this stuff with you today. It's been a real lot of fun for me and very therapeutic as well. So anyways, guys, until next time.